Christophe Fouquet, welcome to Buitenhof again, because you were on our show in March. We're going to talk about ASML, but first, something that is happening right now. Are you worried about the fight between the Dutch government and China because of the position of chipmaker Nexperia here in the Netherlands and in China?
Well, I don't think we are worried, because I think things are a bit under control.
Under control?
Well, I
think it's a huge mess.
Well, you know, people started to talk, and I think when this happened, I think it reminded us of the dependencies of the different countries on chips. I think we have seen that during COVID. I think chips were a big issue. The supply of chips during COVID was a big issue. And I think people tend to forget that when it comes to semiconductor, you have a very broad ecosystem and a very strong interdependencies. And we always try to remind that to people. And, you know, there's a lot at stake, as we have seen in the last few weeks. Everyone needs those chips. And, you know, when we talk to government, and we talk to a lot of government, we always tell people, we always invite people to dialogue, because there's so much at stake. It's very important to talk.
And that didn't happen here. In the first instance, the Dutch Minister of Economical Affairs, Karremans, he just shut the whole thing down and took over. Was it a rookie mistake?
Well, I think what is key on this topic is to talk before you escalate. And maybe this time it went a bit the other way around. I think
China is now saying Karremans is being reckless, and there will be a Dutch delegation traveling next week to China. He will not be a member of that delegation, and China is insulted by that. Come on, bring in the top guy. If you don't bring him in, that's an insult. Do you understand that response?
Well, I don't know if they're insulted or not. I don't know enough about this. But, you know, those topics are extremely sensitive. I mean, semiconductor, access to technology, we have seen in the last few years have been very, very, very critical topics. That has been including ASML some time.
Can it affect your business?
No, it will not affect our business on the short term. I think that, by the way, you know, the chips are coming again to Europe. So I think the biggest part of the crisis is behind. But I think, again, it's a very, very strong reminder that semiconductor is key for all of us, that the ecosystem is fragile, that the different parties have to show responsibility, they have to talk. And again, dialogue is essential.
So maybe what I am hearing from you is it would be maybe wise for the minister to travel to China and talk.
Well, I think it's, I would say, wise for any government to be engaged. Yes. And I won't go into the detail of should the minister go or not go to China. I think that's their call. But on the long term, moving forward, dialogue between all the parties is critical.
I'm asking also because we are in this tariff war, another war that was started by President Trump in April this year. What is the impact of the tariffs on your business, ASML? Do you feel the consequences of this?
Not too much today. I think we had some consequences because, of course, there was a risk for us to get some tariff doing business with the United States. As you know, we have also basically offices in the United States. So we are moving part back and forth, and those parts were subject to tariff.
8,000 people are working for ASML
8,000 people
in the
we have
US.
Some manufacturing in the US. So there is a risk, of course, that tariff increase the cost of doing business between Europe and the United States. But for us, the biggest risk is, in fact, for our customers, especially the customers who are in the United States. Because if our costs were to go up, they will be basically the people who will carry basically that cost.
Will they? Because this 15% tariff on goods from Europe, I have no idea. Is it also on your machines, ASML, if you export them to
Not today, not
US,
today.
But
so
it could
this
happen.
was a risk. I think if you go back to Liberation Day in April, this was a discussion we had. I think this was an open topic.
And you were exempt.
We were exempted. And the reason for that, of course, is if the United States wants to develop their semiconductor industry, they will need some of our machines. And if you make the cost of those machines for the United States more expensive, this doesn't really help the people in the United States that are going to build factory.
As you say, your machines are essential for global chip production, but the Dutch government is restricting your exports at the request of the United States to China. So ultimately, who determines ASML's course? Is it The Hague or is it Washington?
Well, I think, it's a bit more complicated than that. So I think the Dutch government is today solely responsible to define what we can and cannot export to China.
But do they get their cues from Washington?
Well, I think that,
we know
for many years, starting with the Wassenaar Agreement, this is a topic that has been discussed, of course, with the United States. So this is not also something that is decided in splendid isolation by the Dutch government. So these are very complex discussions. But at the end of the day, the Dutch government has to decide based on its own interest and its own, I would say, concern about national security.
So once again, the question, who is dominant then? Is it Washington, President Trump, or is it Dick Schoof here in The Hague?
Well, I think that, if you look at the last few years, the Dutch government has been, I would say in many ways, doing its job, protecting also what are the interests of the Netherlands. I think they've said that many, many times. If you look at different countries, when it comes to semiconductor, different countries have different interests. The United States have a certain type of interest. Europe, I think, has very, very different interests. And I think it's very, very important that our governments in the Netherlands, in this case I will extend that to Europe, also protect those interests. So I think it's a very difficult balance to find. I think there is a dialogue ongoing. And I think that, of course, without the dialogue, without the intervention of the Dutch government, of other governments, maybe things would have gone even further.
Right. In March, you were a guest on our program.
Yeah.
And we were talking at that time about the possibility, you were thinking maybe of relocating ASML to another country if the circumstances in the Netherlands are not right. You were in a dialogue with the Dutch government. You said then, well, we'll see, 2 to 3 years, but then we have to make a decision. Have you made a decision, or the short question is, will you stay or will you go?
No, I think what I said back then, I think that we had no intention to leave the Netherlands. I know there was a lot of noise also because I was French, so people thought since he's French, he's going to go to France, right? This was never a consideration. I think what I said in your show back in March is don't force us to leave, because ASML is extremely committed to the Netherlands. We're going to talk, I guess, about the campus we're about to build, basically in Eindhoven. We are very committed because historically this has been a large part of our success. We still believe that. And what we tell basically local, global government is please continue to create the condition so that we can grow in the Netherlands, in Europe. And I would say there's been a lot of good work done, but the message is still the same. We have to continue to improve the business landscape so that it's easier for ASML, for other companies, to see the Netherlands, to see Europe as a solid base for business.
Very clear, and understandably. But same question again. Have you made up your mind? Are you here to stay in the Netherlands?
We're here to stay. I think we made our mind a while ago. We're here to stay. I think next year, 2026, we will have most probably a groundbreaking ceremony for our new campus. New campus that will allow us most probably to extend our footprint in the Netherlands for the next 10 years because we have a lot of space. We were a bit constrained on the existing campus. This will be solved. And our intention is to really continue to build up a strong ecosystem here at home.
Then the question is, because you are now also looking what is happening in The Hague. It's a little mess, as we have seen till now. Not a very stable situation politically. What do you expect, or what do you want the Dutch government to do? If we are talking about, for example, you expanding in the area of Eindhoven with licenses, buildings you want to put there.
Yeah, so, when you run a business like ASML, you tend to look down to the next 10, 15 years. This is how our business works, because you need to be able to plan for the long term. This is how ASML became successful. So we know it's a bit different with politics. I think that, if you look at the term, it's a bit shorter. I think we understand that. If you look at everything happening in Europe, I think it would be a bit presumptuous to ask for stability. And I think what we ask for is consistency. You mentioned export control. We talked about the business landscape. I think what's very important is that any Dutch government bring basically a strong commitment to support businesses. And that's true for the Netherlands. I think I will extend that to Europe because
could you be more
need to have a
precise?
landscape that is solid beyond also the Netherlands.
But precisely, what do you mean by that? What do you precisely need to have a good environment for ASML?
Yeah, so a few things. So first, we need to focus on a few important things. Of course, I could say AI, semiconductor is important. That's where ASML is. I think it is important, by the way. And I think that any government should look at a topic like that with a long-term view that will survive whatever instability may come. Energy could be another one. I could add many to that. So we need to have a certain focus on what we believe is important for the Netherlands, for Europe. That's number one. Number two, we need to be able to create investment to support that. So we need to ease the way people can invest in businesses, which is still today more complicated here than it is in the United States.
So the regulation here, very tough.
Regulation will be the third one. So what I usually say is the key role of government is to create good business conditions. Mm-hmm. Sometimes government come and say, well, we'd like to do AI, we'd like to do semiconductor. No, that's the role of businesses. ASML knows what to do when it comes to the business of ASML. What we need from government is to give us the condition in which we can operate, mm-hmm. in which we can compete. People tend to forget that. We're not alone in the world, right? We have to compete with the United States, with China. And if you look at the overall competitiveness in the Netherlands, it's going down in Europe. So we need to be competitive. And there, you're right, regulation has to be not simplified. People like to talk about simplification. Mm. It's not enough. We have to redo a lot of regulation. We have to undo a lot of regulation. We have to stop red taping every single thing so that business can once again really grow.
You acquired this year 11% minority stake in the French AI business Mistral with an investment of 1.3 billion euros. That company has been only in existence for 3 years. Why is this a clever idea?
Well, a few reasons for that. So first, AI is going to be enormously important for society, for the industry. Mm-hmm. We see this as a huge opportunity. Now, what's applied to society also applies to ASML. So we believe that AI can improve dramatically our products, provide better performance in our product, can improve our R&D, the cycle time. We can innovate faster, we can innovate better. We can free a lot of our people, our engineers, from very tedious tasks. So AI is a great opportunity for ASML. That's number one. Number two, when we hear about AI today, we hear a lot about supercomputer models. If you're a business, what's really important for AI is to bring the technology in your company and really embed it with whatever you do. And to do that, we were looking for a company that can work with us very, very closely to develop that.
And Mistral is one, but if you compare Mistral, for example, to OpenAI, the big company in the United States by Sam Altman, value $300 billion, Mistral 14. If we compare it, are we comparing PSV to Volendam in soccer terms?
Yeah, well, they don't play, I would say, the same game. So if you look at OpenAI, the focus of OpenAI is on developing the best possible model. The reason for that is their customer are you and me. Right. These are people who use ChatGPT, the internet, etc., etc. Mistral is focusing on business-to-business relationship. As an industry, we don't look for the ChatGPT type of model. We look for people who can really customize their model to our product, make use of our own data in a very safe way, because we don't want our data to go anywhere,
right,
in order to bring AI to the company. So, you know, there are a bit different type of business model, if you want, and Mistral fits a lot more our need than OpenAI today.
Last question. You have been in the Netherlands for 17 years, working and living here. Politics, as I said, very difficult. In short, one sentence, what is your request? What would you hope a next government will do to open up the business climate and to create better conditions for you?
I think the key is to come to us, other company, and ask us what it is that we need. My experience with politics in general in Europe is people come to us and tell us, here is what you need. And they have to stop doing that. They have to start listen. I think that a lot of business wants to help, wants to be very constructive in the way we can together basically develop this climate I was talking about. So I think the key thing I'd like any government, including the new one in the Netherlands, to do is come to us and ask us simply, what do you need and how can we help you?
Perfect. Christophe Fouquet, CEO of ASML. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you very much.
Bedankt voor het kijken. Vond je dit een goed gesprek? Vergeet niet te abonneren of te liken. En reageren kan natuurlijk ook in de comments. Oh ja, heb je dit al gezien?
Dan denk ik, ja, maar als er iets anders op de markt gebracht was... een pijnstiller of een energiedrankje... die als effect had dat er al tientallen jongeren... een einde aan hun leven maken... dan zouden we dit onmiddellijk uit de schappen halen. Dan zouden we zeggen, die moeten onderzoek naar doen. Wat is het effect hiervan? Ja. Maar omdat het zo'n ongrijpbaar software-ding is... ja, is innovatie. Ja, we moeten toch maar even kijken hoe het gaat. Het is heel serieus.